Good afternoon, respected Ivanshu sir, esteemed school leaders, counselors, wellness teachers, educators, panelists, and all participants who have joined us today. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the important session of the Counselors Conclave organized by the CBSC. And today's event is a part of the initiatives being taken in the observance of the World Mental Health Week that would be running from 4th to 10th October. So, following the success of our previous conclave on shaping the landscape of well-being in schools, held on the 11th of September, today's session aims to build further on these insights. We will focus on one of the most pressing topics in the educational landscape, enhancing mental health support in educational settings. As we are all aware, mental health plays a pivotal role in the overall well being and success of our students, and it is crucial for educators and school leadership to collaborate closely to foster an environment that nurtures emotional resilience. In line with the vision of the NEP 2020, this conclave underscores the responsibility of school leaders in creating safe, supportive, and inclusive spaces for students. We will explore global practices in mental health, strategies for supporting students with psychosocial challenges, and most importantly, the role of leadership in advocating for mental health within our schools. Today's agenda includes insightful presentations and discussion from some of the most experienced personnel in the field. We have with us as a moderator Dr. Nagpal, and I would also like to extend my special welcome to our distinguished chief guest, Shri Himanshu Gupta, who's the Secretary CBSE, and whose continued support for mental health initiatives has been invaluable in promoting this essential cause. Before we begin, I want to express my gratitude to all the participants. We have about 1,012 at the moment who have joined us, and I think WebEx Medium can't have more. So I'll request all of you to go, and we'll be pushing in the recording on our YouTube channel. So you would be able to have a feel of the ones who have not been able to be a part of the session. And I think congratulations, we have a lot of counselors and the educators who have joined from Muscat, Oman, and other places also. So, a warm welcome to all of you. And we would be taking an FAQ sessions at the end of the entire session. Please keep putting your queries on the chat, and definitely we'll be taking up all of them. I just now hand over the forum to Nagpal sir to take the session forward. Thank you so much, and welcome all of you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Wonderful. What a good afternoon and a great day to begin with. We have the World Mental Health Week starting today, and we have the World Mental Health Day on 10th October. Nothing can be less important than the whole contribution of the global movement after COVID-19 to the mental health of children across the world. The schooling systems across the world and in India have taken up lead in bringing about the centrality of mental health in schools, and especially with the help of the counseling ecosystem, as you said rightly, ma'am. So we are not behind. We are in tandem with the world. We are much ahead in terms of our human resource. As teachers, as psychological first aiders, we have a wonderful system which accommodates the idea about teacher as a counselor. We have a lot of young people, our young leaders in school, our peer educators who are taking on the role of guardians in mental health. What else can be such a I would say eclectic and egalitarian use of human resource where teachers and students and families can play the role also. But nonetheless, counselors need skill building. They need further knowledge. They need to be abreast with the world around, what is happening in the different continents of the world. So this is a wonderful initiative taken by CBSE in 2024, and we have the second conclave of the counselors, though we have principals and teachers and everybody else who can join. And today we have our Guwahati Lead Collaborator School, DPS Guwahati. Thank you, Rajiv sir, for being with us. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rushi ma'am, our panelist from the All India Institute of Speech and Hearing, Mysore. Thank you, ma'am. You've been a renowned clinical psychologist and worked in many government institutes across the country. Thank you, Manjuri ma'am, for making up such an important volunteer creation in the Guwahati area where you have so many counselors helping you after the CBP. It was very nice to hear that you already have built up a momentum to carry on the work forward. Today, you'll be taking us forward with a very unique and innovative case study, and also help us in, formally looking at how the learning outcomes can be for each case we see. Thank you, Dr. Tanya ma'am, for being with us as a key panelist, as a principal. Very important that we have Shri Himanshu Gupta sir with us, uh, the torchbearer, the inspiration, and the leader in the whole idea about how the counseling systems need to take us forward with immense amount of change. We need to bring about change, and that change making can happen only if multiple stakeholders are participating. Multiple stakeholders are participating with a lot of experts in the field, and we are lucky to have a country where mental health manpower in the community and the school education are now in tandem. They seem to be coming in tandem with each other. So we cordially invite Shri Himanshu Gupta sir for few inspiring words of wisdom from his side. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jiten Nagpal ji, Dr. Neeti Shankar Madam ji, all the eminent guests and distinguished speakers who are present today, and all the counselors and the teachers who are present from across the globe. I think it is very, very important that from both sides we start focusing now on mental health. We have even started a hub and spoke model where we are trying to reach out to counselors for their training, for various networking, and how we can ensure that our counselors get to know about each other, get to know about the best practices that are happening in schools, and how they can implement those practices in their own school. It is also very important that since lot of post-COVID, a lot of students are going through various sort of issues, whether it is anxiety, panic attack, or any sort of issues due to digital era, due to misinformation. It is very important that they are provided a safe zone in a school where and a platform where they can discuss freely with all the teachers, and also the counselors have the capability to deal with such issues in a very mature manner and in an unbiased manner, and they are adequately trained to handle such issues. I think we have to bring mental health on the forefront as our country is progressing and the economies are improving. We are seeing that the issues related to mental health are increasing, especially in urban parents, where we are having nuclear families where children are not having so many, and we are having single children, and the love of sibling or of both the parents working. So we are seeing that children are not getting adequate attention at home also, and that is why it becomes even more important that school counselors are there to support them, to provide them the psychosocial support, and they take up these issues with the parents as well when the child is in distress, so that parents, school community, and child can work together to ensure that we have children who are nurtured in a very healthy atmosphere, and all their issues are taken care of in a very professional manner. I once again thank all of you. There is a huge need of training in this area, and I think our media and counseling unit will ensure that all the counselors are being provided adequate training in counseling sector. We expect that our master trainers are identified soon for counseling, and we do physical trainings for our different counselors of the board. And every school must have counselors in place. And if the schools are still not having, then we will definitely be taking it up as part of our affiliation mandate with the schools. With this, I would like to hand over back to Dr. Nagpal to take up the program forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Just today, we have received in the newspapers that 1 billion people across the world are suffering from mental health conditions. So, 1 billion population is across the world, and we have the largest population of young people in the world. India is a young country. Nonetheless, we hold responsibility and we owe it back to them a world which is better and also more safe and secure for mental health and well being, and celebrating childhood. That's why we are all here. Thank you so much, sir. You've been an inspiration from the beginning, and we are all sure that with such wonderful teams from all the lead collaborators and forthcoming in the times to come, the counseling ecosystem is going to scaffold and also multiply to the best possible. So we have Rajiv sir here from Guwahati, principal sir. We can have you telling us
Yeah,
the brief journey as a lead collaborator and how do you feel now that we are in a position for principals to take the baton forward. Over to you, sir.
definitely, Dr. Nagpal. Thank you so very much. I believe I am audible and visible to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. At the very outset, I would like to extend my heartfelt greetings and gratitude to Shri Himanshu Gupta, Secretary CBSE, for giving us the opportunity to be the lead collaborator school. In total, 14 schools across Pan India were identified to be the lead collaborators. And from the northeastern region, Delhi Public School Guwahati uh, has been chosen as the lead collaborator school to take this entire concept forward. Thank you, Niti Shankar Madam, uh, Deputy Secretary Media and PR CBSE, for your opening remarks. Uh, the the entire CBSE fraternity has been very much accommodative and very much supportive in this endeavor. And I believe as a lead collaborator school and as a principal of an institution, uh, this entire concept of counseling in this very changing landscape uh, is going through a paradigm shift. And as all of you would rightly agree that post-COVID, there are changing scenarios. And as part of the NEP, uh, definitely it is the best step forward that we are making. And being a lead collaborator school, it is a big opportunity for us. Uh, and this particular conclave, the National Councillors Conclave, the second chapter, which is happening on virtual mode today, is also a very important flagship program of the CBSE. Never in my career or never in my life I have ever witnessed such a pan-India and workshop, and of course going beyond the boundaries, stretching across Oman and Muscat. And this is a wonderful way to collaborate and share the best practices that we all have, and it is nothing but shared learning. And when we talk about counseling as such, the entire landscape is changing. Uh, and this is the right moment when we are celebrating the World Mental Health Week. And it is not that we celebrate this World Mental Health Week from 4th of October to 10th of October. I think World Mental Health uh, should be celebrated throughout the year, in fact. And when students are going through a lot of stress, a lot of strain, looking up to the challenges, meeting to the challenges, it's a big responsibility for us adults to give them a helping hand. And this entire concept would definitely have a snowball effect. And this is very much visible. And this wouldn't have been possible with the guidance and support that we are also getting from Dr. Jitendra Nagpal. He has been very much approachable, very much accommodative, and he has always given us an opportunity to reach out. And in fact, the 2nd of September conclave, the physical workshop that we have had in Guwahati, was a tremendous success. And thanks to Dr. Nagpal for initiating under the flagship of the CBSE headquarters. And I must say that Secretary CBSE is nothing but a lighthouse here, which is giving us the way to move forward and put the best foot forward. And as a lead collaborator school, it's a big responsibility and it's a big challenge representing the Northeast and reaching out to the seven sisters of Northeast, including Sikkim. And a lot of complexities are there, but a lot of groundwork has also been done. And we believe that such conclaves would be a step in the right direction to put things in the right perspective. And with the esteemed panelists that we have at our disposal today, Professor Dr. Ruchi, Mrs. Manjuri Bharali Saikia, Dr. Tania Joshi, these are the esteemed people which we have in this conclave today, and definitely we would come to know a lot of important things from them. And it is all about shared learning, and it's a wonderful opportunity to be a lead collaborator school and put our best foot forward. So this entire concept of counseling becomes very much strengthened, and it would be very much beneficial for our students who would be facing the world in the days to come. Thank you so very much, Dr. Nagpal, please.
Thanks a lot for your very thoughtful and inspirational words, sir. Nonetheless, it has an immense value for posterity. And the core theme which WHO has declared across the world for this year has been mental health at workplace. And for a moment, agar hum sab soche, if you all think for a moment, is school a workplace also? Isn't it? It's a big workplace, a workplace for teachers, a workplace for students to become great learners and great achievers of tomorrow, and also the admin staff, the other staff around. What a massive workplace is school. With these few words, we'll invite our first panelist, Dr. Rushi Joshi, ma'am. What has been your experience in looking at school as a workplace? We are trying begin with the idea that how this can be customized to the discussion today. If WHO feels that today this whole month is to be celebrated as positive mental health for workplace, is school a workplace? And how can we make it a better mental health workplace when it comes to the seniors in the school, the teachers, the families, and the head of the school? Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, Dr. Nagpal, it's very important that we also consider the mental health of our. Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, you can go ahead, ma'am.
It's very important that we also consider the mental health of our teachers, because I have always maintained that if my teachers are not happy teachers, the children can certainly not be happy. And we are looking at an overall perspective where, of course, I mean, happiness is the ultimate goal. Why are teachers coming to school? Why are children there? Yes, the academic is a very important part, the co-scholastic is an important part, but this can only move forward if we look at the mental health of each and every individual. And when I say each and every individual, I also mean the head of the school. I also mean, the parents, because we all are in a partnership together. So yes, we have taken a lot of steps, which have been, I'm very proud to say, guided by you, peer educators, because how children, when they talk to the other kids, how issues can be solved, how they get down to each other's level, I think it is remarkable. And for me, counselors play a very important role, but the teachers, the class teacher plays an equally important role, if not more. Because if the teacher is able to create that bond with the child, I think we will have less of problems in schools, in fact, in the world. Because if I know my child, I know what is bothering the child, I think it'll be absolutely solved in that perspective. We've had workshops for parents, we've had orientation sessions for parents where you yourself have come. um, we keep sending our teachers for upgradation, because CBSE has in fact provided a very, very good forum where teachers can upgrade themselves. I remember more than 13 years back when the tele-service had started for children who were giving board exams. That was something in the nascent stage, which we understood that yes, maybe as one of the panelists has just said, that the pressure is there when exams are there. But I think these days pressure is there all the time, pressure to perform, pressure to excel. So I think we need to really look into mental health in a very big way and move forward with that. And this is the best way of knowing that what are the other schools doing and how can I change my strategy or include something in my strategy to become more successful to deal with my children.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a good opening remark. As a school head and a principal, you're representing the principals today in this conclave. Undoubtedly, the top-bottom understanding of well-being, not only mental health, but well-being begins with the school leader. In that context, Dr. Rushi Naz, ma'am, from AISSH Mysore. Your experience tells us, we've been discussing with you very often, and you've been into child and adolescent mental health policy framework also with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And now you're looking at the disability sector. You've been into helping women and children work together for positive mental health as part of the culture of women and child development. Keeping that little experience in mind and today's theme, workplace mental health and school mental health, looking at what kind of challenges we are all facing, how do you place this in place today in terms of a vision? How do we take this vision from a perspective of your experience as a noted clinical psychologist and functionary at the central government level?
Uh, Thank you, sir. A very warm good afternoon to all. Uh, what a perfect beginning of the Mental Health Week celebration today. Thank you so much, sir, for giving me this opportunity for becoming a part of this conclave and the celebration of World Mental Health Week. To make everyone realize that mental health matters to all of us, for each one of us. Before talking about the mental health of ourselves and mental health at workplace, it is equally important to talk about and going back to the mental health needs of the children, the stars of our nation, because we all know that the early childhood experiences influence the later development of a child and has a long deep impact on the psychological well-being of an individual throughout the life. So that's how these initial years are very crucial for a child. uh, let's come back to the concept. I would just take 1 minute to highlight the theme of today's this thing conclave, that the early identification and early intervention also, because those initial year considered to be the crucial year where the maximum learning occurs during this period. The synapses are forming at this age, and with limited exposure and stimulation by the teachers in the school, these synapses get stronger. And we should not forget that the trust and the security within a child to develop at very initial foundational years. So we have a big responsibility on our shoulder as a teacher, and because that play a very important role throughout the life of a child. So the close emotional bond of affection which develops between the infant and the caregiver, which is very crucial, and teachers and the counselor are also considered to be the primary caregivers. It is important them also as well to be aware of and be sensitive of the different developmental milestones of a child. So to understand their socio-emotional development, their physical motor development, language development, everything they should know. So the childhood experiences only decide that how responsible, mature, self-supporting a child will be in the adulthood, and how well he will be integrated into the society. And that's what we are reflecting, being an adult at this point of time. So apart from the counselor, families and the parents, teachers also, I believe, need to be aware of the early flag signs. Same apply to the workplace, because we have to consider school as a workplace in a way that we always talk about the holistic approach, the whole school approach. So the whole school approach says that each and every child, every staff, including principal, teachers, we have to look upon the mental health needs of each and every one. So if anyone, or if any of the child or any of the teacher or even the counselor is having some mental health concern, they are having low self-esteem, if a child is clinging too much to the significant caregivers, or the children are having academic difficulties, either the activity level is too high or too low, they cannot sit at one place, sometimes they have a poor social skill. So there are a lot of mental health concern which can be identified at this period with the close focus by the teachers and the counselor. So
Dr.
earlier.
Rishi, I'll just ask you very pertinent. Thanks for bringing in this whole journey of early detection. Now we have two components in schooling. We have the formative years, which are now the foundation years now, and we have the middle school, the upper primary, and the adolescent. So when you we are not demarcating, and we need to take a lifespan approach जो आपने बताया है, very important, from toddler to teenage and teenage to scholars in college. When you are journeying through the toddler to the teenage, can you name, because that will take us into the case presentation after your answer, how the common, what is the spectrum of common emotional behavioral conditions, both in preschoolers and early schoolers till about primary stage, that seem to be coming up in a manner which is geometrically very high now. We all know about those, but the counselors today many times are not conditioned to the updates on how the spectrum of conditions is changing. What are those common conditions which we come across from the mental health challenge in the preschooling and the early schooling years? Common conditions.
Yeah.
For
So, sir,
example, yeah,
you are asking me, sir?
yeah, I'm asking you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the,
yeah.
the common conditions which are very common among the children in the beginning years is the learning disability, autism, sometime, intellectual disability is also identified at that point of time. Apart from that, anxiety, depression, internalized problems are very high. And if we will not go specific to the mental health concern, then also the low self-esteem, many academic difficulty. Many of the time the children are withdrawn, they are sitting aloof in the classroom. Then the attention deficit and hyperactivity, impulsivity, school dropout, all those concerns are also very common. So that's why I was bringing this concept to the limelight, that the early identification and early intervention in a child early years, that is very important for the development of a child, and which can help them to reach their full potential, and that offers a hope to avoid later mental health concerns and improve the personal well-being and the productivity. And now coming back to your another question, what you are talking about, the theme, that is the theme is emphasizing the growing need for mental health support in a professional environment. So school is also in a way as a professional environment. The whole organization, whether it is a school, it's a college, or it's a corporate office, we have to implement the preventive and promotive measures for the mental health, and which are actually cost effective for any of the country. So we need to incorporate yoga, meditation, mental health hygiene, focusing on the EQ or the soft skill training of the staff of any organization, for the teachers, for the students, for everyone. So spirituality and the physical environment of the workplace, that need to be emphasized. So those are, I think, the primary thing which we need to focus. And above all, we need to train the leaders in mental health for our country. So this mental health should not be left alone to the mental health professionals, because we have scarcity of mental health professionals in the country. So it is a duty for every one of us. So I believe that on the beginning of the this World Mental Health Week, so let's commit to create a healthier workplace, happy and healthy school and home environment, by recognizing the possible signs of mental health concern, the possible signs of burnout, and the reducing stress and fostering a culture of well-being, which apply to each one of us, not only the students, not only the teachers or the
So I think
principal.
in short, ma'am, some of the data which is available in our country itself from the government tells us that more than 60 to 70% of the conditions which get diagnosed during childhood before adolescence are actually remediable, manageable, and the behavior can be modified. Emotional interventions can be done at the school level. That's a huge population. No wonder the linkage between the teacher, the counselor, and the other staff in the school, including the families. If we don't have to worry about the diagnosis, then in that case, the onus lies on the school. Otherwise, the multitudes and millions of diagnostic categories will always keep on growing. That is why we all here early intervention means that let's wake up before the fever goes beyond 99 and becomes 102. We'll come back to you, ma'am, in the roundtable. We'll go to Manjuri, ma'am. Thank you for being with us, Manjuri, ma'am. I think both Rajiv sir and Dr. Rushi have given a clue to us, and Tanya, ma'am, as a principal, have agreed, and they are concurring on the fact that if the consciousness about human behavior is so well here in the school, then I think it is time that the networking of the counselor in the school is very important. And that networking cannot be done only with the family. Otherwise, it will lead to a lot of conditions which are unnecessarily diagnosed also. But we are not running away from diagnosis. Where it is necessary, it has to be done. And where remedies is necessary, early intervention should be done. So in that case, we move ahead with your case presentation and the discussion after that. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present my case today. We are very humble and grateful from Delhi Public School Guwahati for giving us the opportunity. So the case today that I am going to present is about a child. Uh, can you see the slide?
Not yet, ma'am. Yeah.
Is it visible?
Visible.
Okay.
Not yet.
So today the case presentation is not about a rare case, but it is most of the cases that from last 15 years, which I'm seeing in the schools around. Uh, so the first, I would like to highlight the point which again, Ruchi ma'am has already spoken about it, that why it is important for early identification and intervention. A small statistics, as sir said that we had in newspaper that 1 billion people are affected by mental health in the world. In India, in the Journal of Psychiatry, which was seen in 2009, that 50 million children in India are affected by mental health disorders, where 80 to 90% are undiagnosed, mainly because they are either hesitant or they don't get the support that is required. Hence, the counselors are very important in the schools in the early ages. Also, the impact of the child is incalculable. We cannot calculate the impact that can happen, but the World Health Organization has also told us that the loss can be estimated between 2012 to 2030 to be 1.03 million in India, in US dollars. So it's a huge number that we are looking into. Hence, early identification is very important. So going back to my case, a 7-year-old boy who's studying in second standard has come to us. He's from a nuclear family and also he has an elder brother. He came with a complaint of hyperactivity, emotional meltdown, occasional headaches, and also decline in academics. There was observation that the child was unable to sit in one place. There were temper tantrums, poor attention and concentration, and poor peer relationships. The child also had a fear of loud noise, speech difficulty with poor eye contact. Following which the observation was made in the class by the teachers and at home that he had concept of basic colors but does not have concept of simple calculations mentally or the concept of money. He has a tendency to disturb others when he is bored. He displays many temper tantrums and engage in attention-seeking behavior by being adamant and demanding. He's always in the thing, I want it. This should be my way. And also at times he pushes his classmates when his demands are not fulfilled. The child was also seen at home that he is very independent with his work. He brushes by himself, he does his daily work very well. But child had difficulty in adjusting to new teacher and cries a lot when he was asked to learn in the class or being in group activities. The child is very calm and focused when he had screen time. This was a great observation by the parents that बच्चे को कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है क्योंकि बच्चा मोबाइल में तो शांत रहता है. This was one of the observation. When history was taken, it was seen that the child had no complication at birth. So all his developmental milestones were fine and was age appropriate, but the client's speech was delayed. By the age of 3, the child spoke monosyllables like papa, mama. Speech is unclear even at 7 years and has difficulty in speaking long sentences and certain alphabets. He also had echolalia, which means that you repeat the word or a phrase as far as what you hear. Like for example, if I ask the child, what is your name? The child will be like, what is my name? So my name is. So it is echolalia. Hyperactivity here, it means it's a pattern of excessive movement, energy, or talking. Emotional meltdown, I meant by a stress response, which is sometimes overwhelming of emotion, where the child loses his or her control. It was also seen headache here, which is also can be a stress response for a young child like that, of that age. So it was emphasized to do careful evaluation of the patient, other manifestation to see the duration of the observations that was happening, and also to see the frequency of the events that was occurring. We administered tests like Seguin Form Board test, Vineland Social Maturity Test, Conners ADHD Scale, and Childhood Autism Rating Scale. Our finding was that the child's IQ in SFBT was 100, which was average intellectual functioning. Social quotient was found to be 102, which was again socially the child was average in functioning. ADHD score was 25, which indicated high level of ADHD symptoms, which was also supported by our behavioral observation during assessment. CAR score is 30, indicating mild features of autism. So when this child was given intervention, we decided the child will have 3 levels of interventions. The child was only 7-year-old. Hence, there were 3 levels where first individual interventions, second, the family interventions, and the third most important, the school interventions. The first intervention was assessment of the child, observation of the child in the class level, testing required for psychometric testings that is available. Second, medical management for ADHD. Sometimes when the child is very hyper, we have to give medicines to calm him down. Third, the child had speech delay, so speech therapy was recommended. There were other therapies that was given to the child to enhance attention span, emotional regulation, behavior for better coping skills, and also working on and strengthening academic deficits. In the family interventions planning, there was psychoeducation of parents. Also, parents were made to have realistic expectations from the child, encourage the child for creative expression, and also the different accommodations that can be done was taught to the parents in the family level. Family also here means the caregivers or the adults who are at home. The third, the most important intervention area where the child remains in the school for most of the time, the school's accommodation and intervention was first in the classroom. The classroom accommodation for the child was made to sit right in front of the teacher where there is very minimal distraction. Second, worksheets were given to the child when the teacher is teaching in the classroom, and the child finished very quickly because he has high intelligence and he has less of attention span. Extra question worksheets can be given to the child so that the child can keep on working on the worksheets. The third, frequent breaks can be given to the child so that the child can go and come back. Most important for a very young child of 7 and 8 years old, where the child has no control, no self-control, we recommend schools to have shadow teachers. When the classroom is being arranged by the teachers and is being conducted by the teachers, shadow teachers can help the child to go out, take a break, and come back and get adjusted in the class again. Then we have our peer supports where we will be teaching the friend circles the problems that the child is having and how they can accommodate and help the child. Also, use of ICT. The child may not be able to learn with pencil and paper. So the child ICT can be used to enhance his learning skills. Teacher observation checklist can be given at a young age to identify issues that the child is having in the classroom or surrounding. General accommodation in the school can be increased awareness of for such problem, accommodation and setup, initiating programs and workshop for students, teachers and parents, alternative assessment and exam accommodation, where like for our school what we do is we have modified question paper for our children who has difficulty. We also have large font question papers. We have simpler questions. Also, oral examination can be another option for the children so that they don't get scared of academic and exams. And very much important, the teachers training, time to time teachers training and parental workshops, which can continue for identifying such issues and to address such issues. Finally, I would like to emphasize upon the importance in from this case that similar cases like this where there are very young children involved, this triangle of support, that is the student with the teacher and the parent, is the golden triangle that we say. And in this golden triangle, to become the strongest, the counselors play a very important role here. To have support by the teacher to the student, counselors play a role in teaching or accommodating the teachers or addressing the issues of the teachers with the child, and helping the teachers, guiding the teachers with activities how to make a safe environment for the child. Also, here the teachers and the parents are the elders for the child, and they need to have very transparent communication. The counselor here plays a role where they be the bridge between the teachers and the parents and help in the communication, in clear communication with the problems of the student, and also support the parents so that they can support their child in a better way, in a safe environment. So at the right time, for the right reason, if we can help the child, what we have seen tantrums of the child, later on it might lead to compulsion and conduct disorder. Hence, we should address tantrums at a younger age. All the emotional meltdown can lead to childhood depression. Hence, we need to help address emotional meltdowns in a younger age. Decline in academics in a very early age can lead to learning difficulty in later on. Hence, it is very important for us to address academic issues in a younger age. Poor peer relationship that the child was having at the age of 7 might lead to bullying at later age or isolation of the child. To prevent all of these symptoms, it is always better for early identification and interventions. So I would like to end my slides and my case here. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Manjuri ma'am. I think you have invoked so many very pleasant thoughts about how counselors can play such a wonderful role in amalgamating their knowledge and their skills with the teachers. It's a very good example of a collaboration, especially in the triangle you mentioned and the sequel you mentioned. Most importantly is how we enrich our awareness and responsibility to children, especially who have attentional difficulties and a lot of impulsivity. But good point was there was a comorbidity also. There was another subtle diagnosis which you did mention because you've done cars and corners also. We'll come back to you for a discussion. Most importantly, Tanya Joshi ma'am, you're with us. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Tanya ma'am, yeah.
Yes, sir.
When you were hearing the case, ma'am, could you recall the classroom? Could you recall the corridors where children are? And the world says at the moment anywhere between 9 to 10% of the children might be coming under this condition, and that's huge population. If India has about to say crores and crores of children, if 10% get into that condition when they grow up or when they come to teenage, I mean, it can be very, very difficult to manage academics and games also. So nonetheless, the important indicator given by Manjuri ma'am was as these children grow, the misconduct or the conduct problems, the polysubstance use becomes a little factor of concern. So, how do you, as a principal, see from this case study regulating your classroom, a little emotional regulation, how the teachers can learn to regulate certain activities where children calm down their, the activity, especially the child who's likely to be under such a condition? You come across your walks in the corridor and in the classroom. So just a few pointers as a principal. Yeah.
So, sir, these are very common things now, as ma'am had just pointed out, that, when there are temper tantrums, when there is an emotional meltdown, when there is a feeling of aloofness. So, this is something which is growing by the day. So, what we do is we start off in the morning with just, a breathing exercise for all kids, irrespective of whether a child is having issues or not. So it is something that you start with some positivity in the morning. And of course, you cannot expect the little kids to be meditating for a long period of time. But I think there is some discipline, there is some introspection at that point of time. The whole basic motive is to calm them down and to increase the level of focus. The teacher also has to play a very important role here because she has to be visible as somebody who is approachable, somebody who will listen to the child, because I think the child's problem is that nobody is really listening to the child today. The parents are busy, the teacher has her work, and that kind of an atmosphere, at least in our school, we are trying to get rid of it. So that, I mean, it's always blame game at the end of the day, where you say, okay, the parent is responsible or the school is responsible, and we do have to work together. So I think the teachers also keep note of this as to what the child's growth pattern is like. And when the child goes from one class to the other class, we have a meeting of all teachers to discuss that what are the issues that we have faced and what are the ways that we are dealing with it. So, for example, I'll just give you a very small example. If a child is, got a particular friend, you cannot just send him to the next section without next class and change the section of the two kids, because there is sometimes peer learning that is going on, and that safety net has to be provided by the school. So I think it is important that at the end of the day we have a level of empathy, and the empathy has to be there with the teachers too.
Thank you, ma'am. Undoubtedly, is part of the peer learning process also, because difficulties and disabilities often will exist in a classroom. You agree? And when difficulties and disabilities agree at one common place, though one might be very less and one is usually with all of us, there might be a lot of empathy and the adversity going in together. The child faces a lot of adversity, a rejection.
Right.
So, in that case, it becomes very tough. Rajiv sir, I'm very tempted to invite you for a minute to give your take on how do children, because it's come from your school, a presentation and very wonderfully carried out by Manjuri ma'am. How do you would regulate what Tanya ma'am is just mentioning to us? How do you regulate the highly charged young children, little ones who are in the primary school, and उनके social skills के लिए, उनके emotional regulation के लिए, what type of environmental change and positive reinforcement would you bring about? Then we'll have Dr. Rushi telling us a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, we are blessed with a very sprawling campus, you see, and when it comes to intervention, there are many children who are very much hyperactive. And from my personal experience and me being a sports person, I always recommend that the best part is that let them go to the field and let them play out in the open field, and that would be a great opportunity for them to collaborate, mix with the peers, sometimes give vent to their frustrations, and at the same time it will also enable them to develop certain skills related to a particular sport, or skills for moving along with peers, uh, sharing their emotions. So this is just one part, you see. And the second component is that in our school we have the hostel, and there are scenarios when we have students from different ethnic background, because there is a lot of cultural pluralism in the entire Northeast. So we have students from Mizoram, Arunachal, Nagaland, Tripura, entire Assam. So there is a lot of diversity in terms of ethnicity, and there are students with these different backgrounds having a lot of hyperactivity, and they have their own concerns and challenges. And it is important for us as principals and school leaders to give them a patient hearing, because we got to be very, very sensitive while dealing with their aspirations. And it's important for us to give them a patient hearing and try to understand the concerns, because they are away from the families. They are away from the families in a different setup. A lot of academic challenges are there. A lot of peer pressure is there. A lot of emotional upheaval is happening. And this is where the school counseling system can play a very important role. And I'm thankful to my counseling unit and entire team for accommodating these children, channelizing their energies in the right direction. But most importantly, sir, it is not that the counselor is a magician. What is more important is that at different levels in different classes, every teacher can be a good counselor. It is important to be a very good listener, and we should be very much accommodative to their needs. What is more important is that in this challenging scenario, when there is a lot of expectation from the students to perform well in academics, what is more important is their emotional quotient. When the child comes to school, at the end of the day, when the final bell rings, the child should leave home happily, contented. And when the child goes back home, the child should be in a position to tell stories to the parent that this is what I've enjoyed in school. And it all depends on the culture which prevails in the institution. It all depends on the helping hand the child gets. And as teachers, as administrators, and even as a class teacher or a subject teacher, I need to be very, very sensitive towards their needs and aspirations. And it is a growing stage. As adults also, there's a lot of mental upheaval in us as well. And when we talk about children, definitely they are just very, very sensitive, and it is for us to mold them in a correct manner so that there is a proper direction to their lives. And this is just the very beginning, you see, because when it comes to school, and they are in a cocoon, and they are so very well protected by the institutional setup. But when they are, say, about to leave the portals of an institution, when they are at the threshold of their academic career, and when they are moving out for higher studies elsewhere, this is where the real challenge lies, whether the child will be able to accommodate himself or herself with the changing scenario. And this is where the grooming plays an important role. This is where the intervention plays an important role. And most importantly, in schools, the counseling unit has to be strengthened. And many of the schools, I believe, they really do not have counselors. It's very strange. It's very strange. And 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 when we are dealing with students, when we are dealing with very tender minds, uh, there has to be a counseling setup where professionals are there to deal with students. And at the same time, this entire thing has to percolate down below to the teachers. And the teachers also would be well equipped to handle the students and give them a proper direction when it comes to choosing their lifestyle, choosing the right career, moving into the correct path. And it all depends on the type of interventions. Dr. Nagpal, please. Thank you.
Right, so very, very important pointers. I think we need thousands of school leaders like you, and I think we are privileged to have a nation where such diversity of school leaders is there, and a lot of them are carrying out role model activity where it's not just one counselor. Having a separate junior and a senior counselor, junior school and a senior school does help a lot. There's undoubtedly so much to go way beyond, and no wonder these conclaves are going to give us so many avenues and so many directions on knowledge and skill building as well as empowerment. One last question I have to Dr. Rushi. Ma'am, you did mention, and Tanya ma'am did mention about emotional regulation via family education, family psychoeducation. We know how tough it is to, I'm sure Manjuri ma'am faces the wrath at times to convince the family that your child has a condition, and the family agreeing to come back to the school for a multimodal intervention. Is it true, ma'am? Manjuri ma'am, it
Yes,
happens?
sir. Yes, sir.
Very
It's
much
very
so.
difficult, no? So
Yes.
it must be taking you a lot of sessions to first build up a rapport with the family, isn't it?
First, actually, that is why first we need to build a rapport, then talk about the goodness of the child, then slowly put it across that the child might require interventions where we need to go ahead with.
So I think the message coming from you is very clear to the audience today. Spend a lot of time thinking and developing rapport with the families. We do a lot, many things in a hurry. Sometimes the parents do say that, okay, we were told that, okay, this needs to be evaluated, this needs to be assessed, and go and get it done. It doesn't work that way. Patience, patience, passion, and communication, all three go together. Counselors are very well tuned to it. With the help of the principal, develop a rapport with the families, a lot can be done. Yeah, Rushi ma'am, just one last.
Yeah, sir, as you were talking about the multi-model paradigm, no? So I think that is because in lot of the researchers nationally, internationally, if you will see that the parent education, psychoeducation is the cornerstone of every all the modalities. But the multi-model, what you were talking about, where the parent training program is there, the educational interventions for a child, and the behavioral and psychosocial intervention, especially in this case what she was presenting. So there is comorbidity of so many things, so we have to go for the multi model this thing. And it has seen in the researches that the because we know that the rewards influence the behavior, and children with ADHD, they respond very effectively to the incentives like the short term goals. And because this case is having comorbidity, there is a some autism symptoms, and also there also the rewards play a very important role. They work very well. For example, the positive reinforcement rewarding the good behavior with the privileges the child may have. So after finishing the homework, you can give the child, you can allow the child to see the mobile for some time, or to watch TV, or to play something, then removing those factors that reinforce the negative behaviors. And so those are the things which you can apply in day-to-day life. Other than that, in these kind of children, especially in this case and in all the ADHD cases, the structured routine plays very important role. These children, they thrive when they know what to expect. So the consistent routines and the rituals at home and in the school, they help them to understand the task in a better way. And maintaining these routines can be made possible in the school with the help of the teachers and all. They may ask to sit in the front in the classroom. The instruction may be simple. The worksheets may be simple. The difficulty level may be decreased in their homework and their worksheets. Unnecessary pictures or the visual stimuli, so that they are not getting distracted, that can be minimized. And apart from that, what you were talking about, the emotional dysregulation, because again this is a spectrum. So in conduct disorder, in other conditions, so emotional dysregulation is something which is very very common nowadays. A lot of children to the OPDs. Now I'm have seeing these trends in the past 20-24 years, that the child is having low frustration tolerance, too much of temper tantrums, impulsivity. So that is also the very core symptom, because 50 to 70% of children have very strong this emotional dysregulation. So the intervention should be planned keeping in view, to minimize and to
Thank you. Thank
manage
you.
those
I think
dysregulation.
that was the clue we were waiting for. We need to watch out. We need to have the third eye and the sixth sense open. That is the wonderful, charming role of a counselor, where you keep the intuition open, because something what the eyes see, the mind does not realize. And the collection of consciousness between what the family is looking after such children at home and what the teacher wants to do can become a very difficult, diversion. So with these words, I think we have a lot of comments and a lot of queries over here. Over to Niti ma'am for taking the session forward today. We'll all be waiting for our panelists to answer if there are particular queries for them. Thank
Thank
you,
you
ma'am.
so much. I think the query that was coming up, from everyone was definitely one which has already been answered. Like we had one Navya Ravindran. Uh, he had a question: how can I effectively convince the parent of a child who requires additional support, as the child is exhibiting frequent tantrums, emotional meltdowns, bullying behaviors, and aggression towards others? How can I approach the conversation to ensure the parent understands the need for intervention and support for the child's development? So I think this is one thing which is very crucial, and two or three people have a similar question, because again, one Vinny just puts a query on the chat: how to deal with stigma from parents to accept the condition of their child. So again, Navya has the same issue. Madan Kumar has put in again that I am a special educator, but some parents have not are ready to agree that there can be an issue, and then they need additional support. They start comparing their kids with others. So I think most of the questions that are coming today are based on how to deal with such parents and how to have sort of intervention with them.
Yeah, so we can have Manjari ma'am. I think the first part as a case presenter, what ma'am said, Niti ma'am said, maybe the first part you can attempt to answer in terms of temper tantrums and the allied behaviors, because that's your core area. And coming from a school counselor will have a lot of introspection to the audience. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Actually, when it comes to parents, we also need to think about from the parents' point of view when they're sending their child to the school. They might think that the temper tantrums are just for timing. He's a very child pampered child. So we need to start building the rapport with the parents first. We need to talk the positive of the child first, and then maybe slowly we put across that these are the things that is harming him in getting insightful learning, or it is going to trouble him later on in life in academics. So can we now sit together and find a solution for it? So if we tell, or as a teacher or as a counselor, we sit together with the parents saying that these problems may lead to a bigger problem later on, so let us address it so that the child don't have difficulty later on. So we will put the child in front and we will talk from the point of view of parent. In that way parents will agree. But if we challenge the parents that your child is behaving, no parent is going to agree on that, because your child means the parents will take their force. They will protect their child, and it is the instinct always. So we need to be the parent there and talk that we are talking for the betterment of the child, for the betterment of his or her future and academic. What is the rest of the questions,
Yeah,
ma'am?
another one that is coming, I think very relevant, but it is difficult to answer. I can understand. They say that most post-pandemic students are becoming mechanical, and some of them behave like robo because of the use of gadgets. How can these issues be answered? I knew it before putting it. It's not
Screen
easy.
time is very much
These are
there
the
out there, that 5 years below 20 minutes of screen time, 2 years below there is zero screen time. But we have to look at to ourselves, how much are we following that? If we have a 2-year-old, are we having zero screen time at home? Are we giving zero screen time? Now an infant is born, the mother is with a mobile phone. So the thing comes to us that firstly, as ma'am Ruchi ma'am also said that it is about making a time schedule, making a time plan. So with these children, can we start having a time schedule? We cannot take the mobile away from them, but can we have timings for each and every task? Like you have this task for studies. Like for example, I usually use this quote in my training that we always make timetable for academic, कि तुमको 6 to 7 पढ़ना है, 6 to 8 पढ़ना है, बाकी तुम जो भी करो करते रहो. Why? So every time we say to a child that this is your study time, other than that you can do anything, which means that you are letting the child do anything and everything, and there is no limit to him, and this academic is seen as a something that is punishable. I'm liking to watch movie, I'm asked to go and study. My family friends have come, now I'm asked to study. Or I watched mobile, I'm asked to study. So for even if for mobile, if we have a certain times fixed for the children, I think we can start reducing the screen time, and with that reducing, we can incorporate physical activity or other interest of the child, where the child will become less robotic and will try to become skillful, and the child will start listening to him or herself. Nowadays, the problem is the child is not listening to himself or herself, or doesn't know what to do when the child is bored.
Right.
We need to let our children be bored. That is what I feel. Let them feel bored. That way they will start imagining and creative skills will increase.
Definitely. I think that's a wonderful answer. I think most of the people who have faced this dilemma might get it. And I actually, we are already past our time. So I'll just take one last question and then would hand over to Dr. Nagpal to sum up the session. Zahra Tosifs asks, how do we deal with students, especially those in high school, not being affected by the consequences of their actions? I've felt so many students with conduct behaviors just don't care what the consequences by the school or the parents are for their behaviors. How can I help them? It's very genuine. It's a helplessness that a counselor is trying to put in, that they see lot of students, lot of youngsters all around them. They don't care, because I think that's an age also, and it's not only this generation, but I think in their own way every generation has that gap. But yes, if you are a counselor, you have to talk to them. Then I think this is one question that any one of you can address.
Dealing with these children, ma'am,
Yes,
is
it's an
not
open house.
easy.
Please go ahead.
Dealing with these kids is not easy. But like Dr. Nagpal's example, if I give you, life skills. We have not talked about life skills at all today, and I think that is something. Peer educators. These are the programs which actually will bring our children back, and have faith in them. Always keep the line of communication open with them. I've had a career span of almost 32 years, and I have been friends with the children who are the most naughtiest. But teachers immediately will say, don't brand a child. First of all, don't brand a child. You have to keep yourself at that level of that child, that yes, there is good in every kid. We are so impulsive when in our comments. And I feel that these kids can do wonders. They need your attention because they're actually seeking your attention. They don't get attention at home at all, maybe. That is why they want to stand out in school, because they feel being cool or chillaxed in their language is something which is very common. um, I also tell my teachers that you need to know about everything. So when this vape thing came, the counselors, the teachers had never seen vape. They had never even viewed it. So I think we have to be aware also of all these things before we start tackling these issues. But it is not something which is a gone case. I have a lot of faith in my kids.
Thank you, Tanya ma'am. I think the whole idea that since this is a conclave gradually snowballing into a movement, and thanks to Niti ma'am for encouraging, thanks to Himanshu sir for ensuring that such a torch-bearing movement in the country should happen. It's a beginning. Undoubtedly, I think life skills is subconsciously always playing on us, isn't it? Even in the child. When you're looking at a toddler, you are implementing life skills in the class. When you look at interpersonal and intrapersonal skills, so the idea is, no doubt, it is not far away, but very important part which has been mentioned by all of you remains the fact that if a child is diagnosed with a hyperkinetic or a hyperactive syndrome, there is a lot of story, there is a lot of narrative going on behind the curtain of the mind of the child. There's so much of distress, maybe in personal, family, social, and caretaking. Who are the inspirators in my life? There are children coming from difficult families. There are children coming from difficult peer group. Aggravation of the inattention and impulsivity are stimulations which happen in moments which we don't know. So essentially, we have to restrain our rush to diagnose these children. As you said rightly, become friendly with them. And I can tell you there are more than 10 of them I'm able to recall in the last 5 years only, who are one of the best members in orchestras. They are guitarists, they are drummers, they are painters, they are doing wonderful as good speakers and orators, and they probably had a diagnosis with them of ADHD. But the fact is, they found their calling. They found their calling in life, and thanks to their class teacher, thanks to the counselor who showed them the career they could pick up, who wanted the interest and the passion to be found, and they were not pushed into academic, functional literacy and numeracy only, but of course with the whole culture of well-being in the classroom. So I think that's a wonderful message from all of you. So Niti ma'am, if you agree, we can gradually wind up the conclave today. So we'll have one, I would say precisely a 10-second comment from all the panelists, a message for the World Mental Health Week. I know it is for the workplace environment, but for the school mental health as a workplace culture and for the children of today, all of you can share 10 to 15 seconds of your message for the audience and the schools at large. So Dr. Rushi ma'am, your message for the day.
Am I audible? Yeah, sir. I would just like to convey my message that we all need to emphasize on one thing, that we need to make the school a happy place. The child should feel happy while he's going to school. That's it.
Thank you. Tane ma'am, you just spoke, so once more you get a chance. Give us that dynamic school leaders message. You are representing principals.
My dynamic would be that see the good in the kids, be positive, and move ahead, and everything will fall in place. This world is a very nice place to live in, and the children deserve better from us.
Thank you. Thank you. We are also requesting our audience to kindly fill up the chat box with their own wishes for the World Mental Health Week and the idea about such a program coming together. You all will, in the coming times, get some chance to be on the panel. Many, many are there. You know, India is a big country, diverse country. So, Manjuri ma'am, hope you were not tense while preparing this case. We see a lot of calmness and a lot of good rapport building on you. We are so proud that you were here today. What is your
Thank you
message
so much.
to the large number of families? It's not only about your school. What do you give heart and soul message to the counselors?
For the counselors or in our field, anybody in our field, including the school leaders, to the teachers, and to everybody who are working with any child. For me, it is the child is blooming, the child will find its way. We are just the guide. So just let us guide them to find the right way. Thank you so much.
And also, I'm sure you mean that while we celebrate the World Mental Health Week, the counselors all should take care of their well-being also. They carry a lot of information, a lot of, I won't say burden, but a lot of responsibility for the mental health of the school, the teachers, the children. And with the principals and school leaders like Rajiv sir and Tanya ma'am, I'm sure the counselors have a wonderful space to work with, the teachers also. So Rajiv sir, you get the last chance, but not the
Yeah,
least,
thank
for
you
the
so
final
very
message
much.
of the day. And we'll
Just a
also,
one-liner. We have not inherited this planet from our forefathers. We have simply borrowed it for our children. So it's a big responsibility. Let us collaborate and let this make this entire concept a movement, not only a pan-Indian movement, but we should move on to the next level and make it a global affair. Thank you so much.
thank you, sir. Thank you. Undoubtedly, we are so fortunate that we had CBSE schools from the Gulf also joining, like last time also. So I'm sure with your lead collaborator schools and more to come, as Niti ma'am always says, geometrically multiply the lead collaborators. I'm sure the vision of CBSE with Himanshu sir's leadership here will help us to get the freedom and the liberty to multiply this group of people into a large movement. Thank you so much for being here. It was a lovely audience to always keep on. I think last 70 minutes, I have not seen even a 10 seconds going without a comment that has been so reinforcing and positive. I think we've all reduced our hyperactivity with the beautiful comments. So I'm sure it's a wonderful day and a wonderful week for all of us. Any last comment from your side, Niti ma'am? It'll be nice.
I'll just end it with a different note. I am requesting everybody who has joined us and shown so much of positivity with their comments, with their enthusiasm, as Secretary Sir had mentioned in his introductory address, that we want to work on a hub and spoke model. We can't reach out to all the 30,000 schools. And somebody has already pointed out that it's not only the counselors, it's the teachers, it's the principals, it's the staff. Everybody needs to be oriented to become an inclusive environment, become a congenial environment or a conducive environment, whatever you care, call it, in the workplace of the school ecosystem. So I request you all, please create such forums, create such avenues sit together, have 10, 15, 20 counselors pitch in together, have such a virtual platform or meet together. We are always there. Communicate to us. We'll be there to help you. But please do take the initiative on your own and don't wait for CBSE to start on something and then only those people. It would not be feasible to reach out to all of you in a limited span of time. So I'll be looking forward to initiatives coming from the counselors, from the school leaders, from the principals on their own. Just keep us in the loop and we are there to clap for you or be a part of you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. What a wonderful statement. Thank you. It only inspires us to take it forward. Everybody, anywhere in the country, have a conclave. In a small group, in a large group, in the largest group. Doesn't matter. The fact that 4 people join hands to create a movement, it can happen in Jorhat or Dibrugarh. I was in Itanagar, they started the work now. So I think Rajiv sir and Niti ma'am have given us a wonderful vision forward. Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Rushi
you so
ma'am.
much.
Tanya ma'am, thank
Thank
you,
you very
Mistry
much.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Nagpal. Dr. Nagpal, thank you very, very
Thank you,
much
sir.
for having us. Thank you.